Welcome to Travel with Kids Hawaii, the island of Molokai, where scenic driving adventures and historic explorations are tempered with the reality of traveling with children. Naps, temper tantrums, and lots of fun.
Meet our traveling family. Their mission? To seek out fun and adventure. While traveling with kids through these Hawaiian islands, discovering activities and attractions that are interesting for the whole family.
Let's face it, traveling with your kids is not always easy and can be an adventure. But when you depart from that everyday routine and land your kids in exotic locations, visiting historical landmarks and experiencing different cultures firsthand, the educational benefits and family bonding far outweigh the trials. So let's hit the road. In this episode of Travel with Kids Hawaii, come along with us as we discover the true Hawaii, as we venture to the remote Halawa Valley where taro plants are harvested in much the same tradition as in decades past. Explore a macadamia farm and learn about the incredible work of Father Damien on the Kalaupapa Peninsula. Along the way, we'll fly a kite, send a coconut postcard, and make a lei. Set in close proximity and connected by regular ferry service, the three islands of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai are an excellent choice for a multi-island itinerary. We've chosen to take time out of our trip to Maui to explore the less touristy island of Molokai.
Known as the state's most Hawaiian island because of its high percentage of native Hawaiians, the island of Molokai has resisted much of the large development that has depleted some of the charm that originally drew visitors to Hawaii. It may be sparsely populated and relatively small in size, but Molokai has many of Hawaii's biggest attractions. Hawaii's longest beach, second largest temple, and the world's highest sea cliffs. Molokai gives mainlanders who take the time to visit a taste of old Hawaii.
Coconut.
Molokai and Lanai are accessible from Maui by ferry, making it very convenient and inexpensive to island hop. The boat to Molokai departs from Lahaina's waterfront area and takes about 2 hours to cross the somewhat choppy channel. Lahaina is the center of all things Maui. Once the home to the Maui royalty and the capital of the whaling industry, Lahaina now plays host to a range of interesting shops, restaurants, and galleries. With its idyllic waterfront setting and old wooden storefronts, Lahaina maintains an air of old-world charm. Lahaina's tourist area is centered around a broad town square covered by the largest banyan tree in the United States. Many of Lahaina's attractions are clustered around this square, making it an ideal town to explore with kids.
Before moving to Honolulu, Lahaina was the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Nowadays, it makes the perfect place to take a break from the beach, do some window shopping, and check out some historic sites.
Lahaina is a traveler's delight. Narrow streets with interesting boutiques and galleries radiate out from this park where a giant banyan tree forms a natural umbrella. The kids love playing around the huge roots of the tree.
I'm in jail. Help, I'm in jail.
And with the open-air craft market, concerts, and nearby attractions, it's a great place for us, too.
Plan on using the Banyan Tree Park as a base to check out Lahaina. After exploring some of the town's attractions, the old missionary home, the old courthouse, and the ruins of a fort, we can grab an ice cream and come back here and relax under the tree listening to live local music. Lahaina's colorful history is interesting for the whole family. The old courthouse weaves intriguing tales of whalers. And the nearby waterfront is bustling with stands selling boat tours and adventures under the sea, like Atlantis Submarine. Dive 130 feet deep into the blue to explore Hawaii's coral reefs and marine life from the comfort and safety of an underwater boat.
At the end of the waterfront is the Molokai ferry dock. Everyone is lining up for the arrival of the Molokai princess. Boarding passes in hand, we're all ready to take the ferry from Maui to Molokai. We've packed plenty of snacks and books and toys to keep the kids entertained on the long ride.
The views from the ferry are magnificent. As the boat pulls away from the dock here in Maui, we get a good look at the island from the water. It's tall mountain shrouded by clouds. With a large gap in the center of the island, it's easy to see how Maui was formed by two volcanoes that joined together. Sailboats dot the water in the harbor, and surfers catch the last waves of the day. The sky turns from the brilliant blue of the day to a rosy shade of pale pink, as the afternoon departure wraps into its own version of a sunset cruise.
Dad, look at how blue the ocean is.
Molokai is best known in recent history for its role as a leper colony, and today we're going to head over to the North Shore to learn more about it.
Separated from the rest of Molokai by seemingly unpassable soaring cliffs and surrounded by rough shark-infested ocean, Kalaupapa Peninsula was once home to Hawaii's leprosy colony. In 1835, the first case of leprosy was diagnosed in Hawaii, and by the mid-1800s, the disease had spread to the point of inciting panic. In those days, there was no cure for leprosy. In 1865, out of fear, King Kamehameha V signed a law banishing anyone diagnosed with leprosy to this remote peninsula on Molokai. They were forced to live in the rugged wilderness with no homes, no services, no government, and limited supplies. In 1873, all that was about to change. Father Damien arrived and gave the people hope for a life well lived. Father Damien helped the victims living there to build homes, build infrastructure, build a village, build a life.
The work of Father Damien is inspiring. To have the courage to go in and work with these people who everyone else in the world thought were untouchable, to risk your own life to bring these people hope and comfort.
The beautiful forest around here is so peaceful. I never thought of pine forests in Hawaii. Needle-covered paths wind through the tall trees, perfect for a short family outing. Check out the views from the tall cliffs. Smell the pine mixing with the salt water. Discover secret forts and the wonders of nature. Tours to the peninsula are available by bus from the bottom of the trail or by mule from the top. This is actually the most popular attraction for tourists visiting Molokai. Glimpse dramatic vistas over the blue Pacific as your mule creeps along the narrow path through thick jungle surrounds. But you have to be 16 years old to visit the settlement, so we'll have to find evidence of Father Damien elsewhere on the island.
Father Damien's influence can be seen on the rest of Molokai in the churches he built here. Little wooden one-room churches like St. Joseph's Church dot the landscape of Molokai. Their whitewashed clapboard steeples penetrate the indigo skies and green fields, giving testament to the missionaries' work.
This missionary influence is not the only evidence of Molokai's history. Before the dawn of missionaries, the ancient Hawaiians that lived on Molokai were some of the most feared due to their superpowers of their kahunas, or priests. Evidence of this ancient life can be seen throughout Molokai in the temple platforms and fish ponds strung along the island's coast.
From above the surface, the fish ponds look like big inlets in the ocean. Rock walls run parallel to the beach about 30 feet out in the water. But what's great about this ancient technology is under the waves.
Starting as early as the 13th century, Hawaiians began creating fish farms. They constructed long rock walls, which contained several gaps where gates were placed. Small fish who swam in through the gates were hand-fed to fatten them up, so they were too big to swim back out. In time, these fattened fish were easily scooped up for harvest.
Another great place to check out Hawaiian's ancient fish ponds and learn about the ali'i history of Hawaii is on the Big Island at Pu'u Honua o Honaunau.
Located 20 miles south of Kona on the Big Island's west coast, Pu'u Honua o Honaunau is a national park with ancient royal grounds where the ali'i, or chiefs of Kona, once lived, and a place of refuge. This place of refuge provided safety for Hawaiians who broke kapu, the many laws that governed ancient Hawaiian society. If the kapu breaker could reach the place of refuge, the offender would be forgiven and free to leave without fear of punishment. The place of refuge also served as a safe zone for non-combatants during battles.
One of the best preserved Hawaiian sites, the City of Refuge, is amazing. In a peaceful location beside the turquoise waters of the Pacific, I can see why the ancient royals chose this place. The beautiful swaying palms in this grove, the powder white sand, and the calm, clear waters of the cove.
The kids love discovering all the different faces carved in wood around the temple here. We even get a chance to view a newer one being carved. I can't believe they carved them by hand with a chisel. On the refuge side of the park beyond the royal grounds, you're reminded of the island's volcanic core. Lava rocks are strewn all over the place. The kids even find an ancient game similar to checkers, played with lava rocks. With the interactive exhibits, the recreated structures, and the rugged volcanic terrain, it's easy to get a sense of both Hawaii's natural and tribal history.
Born of fire, the Hawaiian Islands are volcanic creations. Each island formed from molten lava spewing from a crack in the Earth's mantle. Layer upon layer of molten rock hardened, piling upon one another until the surface of the ocean was broken and an island was formed. The Earth's plate moves the existing island to the northwest, and a new spot shifts over the heat vent. Lava spews and piles. A new island begins to form. The oldest island created over 25 million years ago. The newest island still being created to this day. Once formed, the island sat vacant, rocky forms covered with dirt and salt from the oceans around. Desolate objects in a wide open sea. Until by chance, a bird, the wind, the sea landed a seed on the island. The seed took root, and over thousands of years, a whole new ecosystem sprung to life, creating the lush, proliferate islands known today. Across the turbulent oceans, these islands called, beckoning for inhabitants. In the 2nd century, man came, using only the sun, the stars, the wind, and the waves. Explorers from South Pacific islands like Marquesas, Tahiti, Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, and New Zealand sailed their outrigger canoes across thousands of miles of open ocean to establish a new mingling of Polynesian cultures on these islands known as Hawaii. For many centuries, the islands were divided into small kingdoms ruled over by the ali'i, or chiefs. Yet all was about to change. In 1790, Kamehameha the Great of the Big Island set out to conquer and unite the other Hawaiian islands. By 1810, all islands were loyal to King Kamehameha, beginning a monarchy. In 1778, Captain James Cook was the first Western explorer to spot the islands, naming them the Sandwich Islands after his British patron, the Earl of Sandwich. The next year, he landed near Kona on the Big Island and was killed in an ensuing dispute. In 1819, King Kamehameha I died, and his son, Prince Liholiho, ascends to the throne. Decades later, in 1893, after Queen Liliuokalani forcibly surrenders her throne, Hawaii is annexed to the United States.
There are fish ponds all along the coast as we drive to Halawa Valley in the southeastern part of Molokai. The road here winds between rocky cliffs and ocean drop-offs, making for dramatic scenery. There's one part where the waves are actually crashing over the edge up onto the road.
On the land side of the road, the rural community slowly fades into pasture land as we head by Molokai's second largest ranch.
As we continue on, the jungle thickens, obscuring the sun. Tall trees bend over the road, and pasture land gives way to dense forest. As the road snakes to the top of the mountains, winding around the tall cliffs, we're treated to panoramic views of the Halawa Valley.
Once the site of ancient Hawaiian religious rituals, and later to a good-sized community growing taro, Halawa Valley is now a remote destination home to just a few Hawaiians. In the mid-20th century, the valley was hit by 2 different tsunamis that stripped away the farms and much of the community. Now, the valley is best known as a spot to get away for surfing, kayaking, camping, and hiking.
It's so quiet here. You can hear the wind whistling through the tall trees and the surf pounding on the shore. There's a small church guarding the mouth of the valley. The emptiness here makes it seem a bit eerie.
Down by the beach, the thick green of the forest is broken up by open, grassy fields. You can see all the way to a towering waterfall plummeting down giant cliffs at the back of the valley. It's so peaceful here. We pretty much have the place to ourselves. The kids point out all the different fruit trees, and we wade through a small river skipping rocks.
On the way back from Halawa Valley, we stop at one of Molokai's roadside fruit stands, where you can buy fresh coconuts, papayas, and mangoes on an honor system.
A short stop at the grocery store in town to stock up on supplies like cereal and fruit. If you've got a mini fridge in the room or you're staying in a condo, be sure to hit the local market and stock up on a bunch of stuff. Breakfast stuff especially makes the mornings go much smoother, and you can save a lot of money. Good job.
Pineapple juice.
All right.
And it's back to the hotel to catch up on things like laundry and postcards, and spend an afternoon playing on the beach and in the calm waters in front of the hotel, relaxing in hammocks and snacking on some local treats. Our stay here at the Hotel Molokai has been wonderful so far. The staff is so friendly, and the laid-back atmosphere is perfect for families with kids.
The kids get to put on their own luau performance on stage here, twirling sticks and pretending to be fire dancers. It's so relaxing to stroll through the sweet-smelling garden, pointing out all the tropical flowers.
For some cheap fun in Hawaii, bring along your own sewing kit. We gathered up these flowers in the hotel grounds, and we've been doing lei making all afternoon.
Really fun.
Quaint Polynesian open-air bungalows line the tropical garden and beach at Hotel Molokai. Centered around an oceanfront pool and the very popular Hula Shores restaurant, the hotel maintains a casual, relaxed atmosphere. Hula Shores restaurant is popular for visitors and locals, where excellent Hawaiian cuisine is served up with spectacular sunsets.
The restaurant here serves a nice range of food. We can taste some of the local dishes, while the kids get their hands on some chicken strips and French fries.
Today we're heading to the center of the island to go nuts. A macadamia nut farm tour and coconuts by mail. Then we'll seek out a kite factory on the windy west shore.
Brought to the Hawaiian Islands from Australia in the late 1800s, Hawaii now grows 90% of the world's macadamia nuts. Set on 5 acres in central Molokai, Purdy's Macadamia Nut Farm educates visitors about macadamia nut production.
50 macadamia nut trees, were all planted here in the 1920s. They're approximately 80 years old.
Showing the maturation process from flower to nut.
You can't eat it yet, but you can smell it,
don't
you
eat
can
it yet.
feel
Don't.
it.
At the farm, visitors can crack open a nut fresh from the tree.
Crack that one a little more.
I cracked it.
Good job, now get that nut out.
It's a macadamia nut, and I cracked it all by myself. All we need is a nutshell and a hammer. And this tool to put the nut in while we hammer.
The macadamia nuts are right off the tree and taste much different before they're roasted and processed. Kind of a silky, buttery taste. Well, we certainly learned a lot about macadamias, but now we're off to crack a different kind of nut.
I can carry this one.
This is so cool. I never knew you could turn a coconut into a postcard. They call it post-a-nut, and the post office in the town of Ho'olehua has a box full of coconuts to choose from.
Let me write the address first, and then I'll let you guys decorate it.
Look at, I draw a fish. See?
It's been a nutty morning. It's time to head to Mauna Loa on Molokai's west side to visit the Big Wind Kite Factory and take advantage of the prevailing winds.
Built in the 1920s by Libby, McNeil, and Libby, which would later be sold to Dole Pineapple.
Found growing on Oahu as early as the 18th century, the pineapple has come to be associated with Hawaii, and Dole has much to do with this. Their founder, James Dole, was also known as the Pineapple King and set up shop on Oahu in 1851. The Dole Plantation provides a lot of insight into this important fruit. Check it out.
This is the Dole Pineapple Plantation located about an hour north of Honolulu. The kids and I are learning so much about how the pineapples are grown here in Hawaii. A fun attraction here, the world's largest maze. Covering almost 2 acres, the narrow path meanders through all sorts of beautiful tropical plants. We are racing through the plant walls to find several stations where we receive stamps. Once we've got them all, we race back to the front for a prize, if we can find it. Wait, did I turn left here?
Wow, racing that maze was hard work. It's time to cool off with a little pineapple ice cream and to check out the rest of the plantation.
Mauna Loa was built as a town for the plantation's workers. The main street is lined with small wooden buildings and vast open areas and parks. Big Wind Kite Factory offers visitors tours of their kite-making facilities and instructions for expert kite flying.
It's amazing how much precision is needed when constructing a kite. There's a whole rainbow of colored nylon, and they make so many different designs and shapes. Streamlined birds, fierce dragons, big butterflies.
This is a cool kite.
Looks like the winds are up. Let's go fly a kite.
As the day winds down, we head back to the hotel to take in another sunset in paradise. We lay in our beachfront hammock and enjoy the peace and solitude of Molokai. Tomorrow, we head back to Maui to explore more of what that island has to offer families with kids.
With the world's tallest sea cliffs and the second largest temple in Hawaii, Molokai has made a huge impact on us. Learning about macadamias, sending a coconut by mail, hiking through the remote Halawa Valley, Molokai's unique lineup of activities has made the journey across the channel well worth it.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Travel with Kids. To explore more family-friendly destinations and get tips on traveling with kids, visit travelwithkids.tv. The Hawaiian Islands have provided us with an educational journey that has proved fun and exciting for the whole family. learning about Hawaii's sometimes turbulent history and unique compositions of cultures, exploring the scenic natural habitat, from rugged volcanic terrain to lush jungle landscapes, to colorful underwater scenes, and sampling all of Hawaii's family adventure activities. Swimming with dolphins, sailing the channel, wagon rides, and much more. To check out our entire journey with a visit to 5 different Hawaiian islands, or to find other family-friendly destinations and tips on traveling with kids, go to travelwithkids.tv for the complete Travel with Kids Hawaii series.
Ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Join Travel with Kids for a family adventure in Thailand, Peru, South Africa, Ireland, Fiji, and more. Take advantage of Travel with Kids' decades of family travel experience. You decide where to go, we do all the legwork to build your ideal journey.
She's calling to find out
Because of the fact that
Enjoy. Thank you.